Hello, lovelies! Today is the first interview that I'm conducting, and it is with an awesome lady called Tanya Venom. She is a kick-ass guitarist. Oh, yes, she is awesome, and I can't wait to interview her for my first ever interview that I have conducted. I met her through Nita Strauss's Body Shred program, which is like program to get fit and all that. She is in her own band called Storm Stress together with her sister. I hope you learned something new today.
It's so exciting to chat with a fellow female guitarist.
Yeah, and it's exciting to chat to you, and also just such a kick-ass, just a kick-ass woman overall, to be honest.
Thank
Um,
you.
like I love what you're doing. I love seeing your stuff with Storm Stress, and thank you for getting up so early as well.
Oh my gosh, no
With the
problem.
time difference, it was tough to find other times. How would you describe your journey as a musician so far? So this is a bit of a broad one. So where it started and how you got to where you are now.
Okay, so a lot of this involves my twin sister, Tia Mayhem. She plays bass in my band. So when we were in elementary school, well, we used to sing little songs all the time, but we were very, very shy. Like we did not like talking to other people, but at home we would sing and dance and do all that stuff.
Ah,
So
that's
when we were
fantastic.
in, it was so cute. So when we were in fifth grade and we had the ability to choose an instrument to play in the school band, I chose the flute and she chose the clarinet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
So
the flute is a bit higher than the clarinet, is it not?
exactly. And
Yeah.
actually, my sister ended up switching to bass clarinet. So she was like headed in the bass direction to start with. And I moved over to piccolo, which is like the
Oh,
highest,
wow.
loudest instrument. But when I was about 13, I swear there's like barely any reason for this. It feels like this idea just dropped into my head out of the sky. But I was just like, I want to play a more modern instrument like guitar so I can play along with songs on the radio.
Nice.
And yeah, so it just came to me one day. And then my sister followed suit and was we were presented the options of guitar and bass guitar. So she was like, ooh, bass guitar, I like that. And I,
Mm-hmm.
of course, was like, guitar, yes, the star of
Mm-hmm.
the show, the rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we just kind of fell in love with it. We originally were planning, I say we a lot, but our journey is very intertwined as
Yeah, I can
twins.
imagine with
Yeah.
yeah, with sisters overall and twins
Yes.
furthermore. Yeah.
But when we were playing out as 16-year-olds, we were from Detroit, Michigan originally. So we would perform around bars when we were 16 in this all-female classic rock cover band. And so we played around town and we were already performing live. And there was no greater feeling that I had ever felt than performing live for a bunch of people who were so into it. And the energy was like unreal. So
Yeah, getting that energy feedback.
yeah, it was crazy. So we both independently had the realization I want to do this forever, all the time.
That's
And
great.
yeah, and so from there, we both applied to Berklee College of Music and we made a pact that if one of us didn't make it, neither of us would go. And thankfully, both of us got in. So that was exciting.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
we went off to Berkeley and we started our own original all-female rock band called Flight of Fire. And
Oh, so you
then,
had another band before Storm
yeah,
Stress.
yeah. And I just did guitar and backing vocals for that. And my sister played bass. And then when that band broke up, my sister and I started up again. And we were like, we can't live without having our own band.
Mm.
And so we reached out to the drummer that was with our last band, Flight of Fire, and the three of us started Stormstress, the power trio. And I
Yes.
decided to take on singing lead vocals, and my sister co-singing lead vocals. And it's, I guess, history after
Yeah,
that.
that's fantastic. It's so great to have someone that you're working with and sort of like a partner in crime, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
it helps so much. And like we've not only like worked together for so long, but we've, been twins. Like we're always in sync, and having like a writing partner and a performing partner who is basically you, but again, is really amazing.
So would you say that that's what helped you stay on top of that? Because you co-founded the band shortly before the pandemic, is that right?
Yes, we
So
formed the
yeah.
band like right before the pandemic. It was so frustrating. Like it was October of 2019 that we announced the band. And we actually had our debut show February 2020, which was right before all the rest of our shows lined up got canceled, because immediately after the debut show in March was when America shut down.
So how did you still manage to set up the band for success and seemingly go through the pandemic unbothered? It just seems like it's been going well overall.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we had so we had one single that we recorded before the pandemic, and then we did that debut show. And thankfully, because of that, well, when the pandemic started, we were all like, oh no, we had so much momentum built up because everyone who had known our previous band was really excited to see what the new band had to offer. And we were like terrified and excited to share what we had, but like, oh my God, what will they think? And what will they compare us to, our old selves and things like that. But the great thing about having that debut show, having at least one show before the pandemic, we were able to kind of, we had a guy do video and photos for that show. So thankfully we had like some content to try and carry us through. Like we put out a couple live videos. We would slowly like post the photos and, try and do some online stuff in the meantime. My sister and I did some acoustic live streams, and we continued. I mean, the pandemic, as stressful as it was for the outside world, for the inside world, it was actually kind of helpful to be able to have some quiet time to like meditate and to work on my craft. I found myself having more time to practice than ever and work on my vocal techniques, which were still kind of new at the time. So we really utilized that time to improve ourselves rather than get down on everything. And then when things were slowing down a bit, we managed to sneak in one more single, and we recorded the video outside with a very minimal crew, and we were able to put out one more music video during the pandemic, which was cool.
That's very cleverly organized.
Yeah.
And it's a very special thing about the band, except the awesome sound, is the unique dual front woman experience. So
thank you.
yeah, with your twin Tia. So how does that work? Do you both sort of create your vocals together and craft your presence together, or do you work on it by yourselves and then when you get together it kind of happens? How does it work for you?
It kind of is a mix of that. Like a lot of our songs, one of us will write primarily, and then we'll bring it to the group and we'll all work on it together. And whoever usually is the originator of the songwriting is usually the primary singer of the song, unless we particularly want certain parts sang, at each other, or if we write it for each other. But typically, like, whoever wrote the song sings the most leads. But there are some songs that we write together at the same time, and then we kind of split up the vocals evenly. So it depends on who writes the song, who feels like really passionate about the lyrics, and additionally the arrangement aspect. Like, for example, and it's fun because sometimes people can't tell who's singing because it's very similar, but it is a different sound too, which is kind of interesting. So like for I Wish I Could, which is a song on our debut album, during the chorus, we alternate lines because it's an arrangement choice. Like one of the, like every other line is, one of the lines is like, I could do this, and then, but I can't for this reason. I could do this and I can't. And it's that kind of back and forth.
Like a question and answer thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we try and utilize that in the arrangement. And if something is better in each other's range, like my sister's lower range is a little more rich than mine, and my higher range is a little more clear than hers. So sometimes we'll divvy it up that way. It's very fun, unlimited options.
Sounds like a dream partnership on
It
and off
really
stage,
is.
to be honest. Yeah, yeah, that's great. Last spring, you released the anticipated debut album as well, full length.
Yes.
On top of that, not just an EP, but a full length album, Silver Lining with Stormstress. So, how did the album come together? Did you decide to put an album together for this specific purpose, or did you have the songs coming in and are you continuing to write new material?
Oh my gosh, I love
That's a
these
lot of
questions.
questions.
It's a good one. So, for the album, we were working with producers Liz Borden from Lizzie Borden and the Axes, another kick-ass all-female rock band, and Sarah Fitzpatrick. And it was really cool because they were really excited to produce us, having known us in Flight of Fire, our previous band, but being really excited for the new project. So they were helping us with the whole recording process. And we were working on it together. And originally it was just going to be a couple singles. And then we were like, oh, maybe we could do an EP. And then we talked about it. And we were like, you know, it would be really professional and really badass if we could come out with a full length album, even if it's just like the minimum possible full length album. And we had so many songs to offer. So we were like, we can limit it to our best ones and do whatever we can in the studio to get at least a full length album out. And so they agreed. They were very excited. They actually kind of surprised us with the news. They were like, guess what? We've decided we want to do a full album with you guys. We were so excited and so grateful. And the songs, it was interesting because the recording of the album, because of the pandemic, was very spread out. And so, like Paint the Mask, which was our debut single, my vocal sound is a little different on that than like Corpses Don't Cry, which was the last song recorded on the album, because it was recorded a few years apart. Crazy. I was like hearing my voice develop before my eyes. But so yeah, it was a little scattered. Like we recorded a bunch of the drum tracks before the pandemic, which was helpful. And then we'd slowly go back in and add more parts as it was okay. When things started relaxing, we'd go in there like one at a time and record stuff. And by spring, it was actually ready to go. And we were super excited to drop the full-length album right off the bat. And yeah, so that was that. And then my sister and I are very prolific when it comes to songwriting. I mean, back like a few years ago when I was on like a huge songwriting kick, I would go to practice my guitar and just end up writing a song instead. And I kept writing and writing. It's crazy. We also have songs from our past that we have like dug back up and refurbished, and songs that we're writing right now. Like we have kind of a huge log of songs that we're excited to get out there. And it's really exciting to have that kind of inspiration flowing. And
that's very interesting because a lot of people struggle with the songwriting process, but it sounds like you're full of ideas and bouncing them off each other and creating. If you were given the opportunity, would you do a Frank Zappa type thing where you record just everything?
Yes, definitely. I think that would be amazing.
It just sounds like you have so many ideas, and it just reminded me of his massive back catalog of albums. And just having asked you the previous question, it really sounded like a no-brainer why you decided on going with a full-length album, to be honest.
Right? Oh, we just have, there were so many times where I'd go to practice and I honestly had to be like, okay, I seriously need to focus on actually practicing guitar today and not just writing. But writing is interesting. It's a lot like practicing guitar. If you practice songwriting, you get better and better at it. Like, and I've been writing songs for a long time, and the songs, I look back to my really old songs and they're absolutely terrible. But like get a lot of songs out to find the gems. So even if it's just getting your way through a song that you don't even think is very good, it's all good practice until you really, really start writing the stuff that makes your heart sing.
That's actually, I think, amazing advice also.
Oh, I could talk forever about that.
Well, I won't hold you forever. I have something kind of more serious to ask also, because last year you went through a very unsettling experience, discovering a polyp on your vocal cord, followed by an operation and injections, and seeing your recovery experience has been truly eye-opening. And we should be conscious about our health at all times. So could you point out some key aspects about keeping your voice healthy that you now have incorporated maybe into your daily life?
Yes, absolutely. I have learned so much about vocal health in this experience. And it's amazing the things that there's so many obvious things that you might not know or might not think about until someone tells you. And like, I personally did not have a lot of like formal singing training. I just sort of jumped right into it, which was fun and exciting. But so as for vocal health, I would say, I mean, this one's pretty obvious, but like staying hydrated is so important. Like, drinking on show days is very tempting to get the nerves down, but it can also dry out your throat, and it can also inhibit your ability to use proper technique. You might start shouting and over singing. But a major tip that I learned that personally helped me a lot was paying attention to your speaking as well, because speaking incorrectly can use your vocal folds in an inappropriate way where they lose steam before you've even started singing just from speaking inappropriately. It's incredible. So it's important to speak from the front of your mouth and sing from the front of your mouth. That was a huge thing I learned, like directing the effort towards the front of my mouth instead of putting all the pressure on the vocal cords. Of course, like getting sleep is really important, and dry environments, which are everywhere, especially if you live in a place like me in New England where it's wintry and cold and dry. So humidifiers, dry mouth sprays, all those things can play a role. Be conscious of your allergies. I have a dust allergy, and my speech therapist was like, oh, your voice isn't clear in the morning. You should get a dust mite wrap for your pillowcase. It's crazy, these things.
Wow.
Yeah, and
gotta pay attention to your overall health.
Yeah.
Kind of, as you said, kind of obvious, but at the same time also mind-blowing, how things are connected.
It's like, oh, it's so obvious, but I never would have known. And most importantly, if you are sick, especially with an upper respiratory infection or you have any sort of laryngitis, do not sing. Like, that's how you get injuries. When you start singing, when you're sick, you're like, your vocal folds are swollen and you're forcing them to do work. Like, it's okay to cancel. It's okay to, like, even if you just, bring the melody down, like, take it easy on yourself. It's okay. You'd rather cancel a show than have to get steroids injected into your throat and miss months of shows. And I had one more big one on this. Let me see, what was it? See if it'll come to me singing. Well, I'll let you know if I remember it.
Okay, yeah, that's it. So yeah, it sounds like a major bit is basically to listen to your body.
Yeah, it's very important to listen to your body, and especially in America, it's very like, people are very encouraged to work till they die and work to the bone.
Work hard, play hard.
Exactly, and it can be it can be a very toxic environment. Like, you have to take care of yourself, and especially as a singer, just like as a guitarist, you got to take care of your fingers. I'm always very cautious when I'm cutting vegetables. The singer, you kind of have to be cautious of anything that uses the voice, which is a surprising amount of things. Oh yes, coughing and clearing your throat really harshly can all be damaging on the vocal folds, which I, as a person with asthma, was always coughing left and right, and now I'm becoming more aware, like, oh, I can drink water to get this phlegm down instead of make a huge like huge effect on this. And yeah, things things like that, just to be
Yeah,
gentle on
I
your
wouldn't
body.
have thought about coughing and all that, to be honest.
Exactly. And
Because
also,
that is also kind of
yeah,
countering to listen to
right.
your body, because your body wants to cough, but you
Exactly.
gotta be mindful of that as
It's
well.
crazy, all these little things. And I remember the last thing I was going to say, and that was my speech therapist told me that, singing, performing vocals is like an athletic activity, just like anything else. You're like engaging your vocal cords in a very like advanced, specific, trained way. So it's very important to practice like you are performing, because you're more prone to injury, just like if you were playing a hockey game and you didn't practice, you might you might twist your ankle or break something. So it's important to train and practice in like a performance setting, like as if you're
Yes.
performing, full
Yeah.
blast, and get,
Yeah.
acclimated to that to avoid injury. Many
Interesting.
things.
Yeah, kind of. It makes sense. Kind of, a professional boxer wouldn't just shadow box and get on the arena to try out the real thing.
Exactly. You got to practice, and in-ear monitors will save your life. Those things have been a game changer.
That's really really kind of eye-opening, really,
Yeah.
to hear about how many things impact the voice. To me as a guitarist, anyway.
Right. And as for me starting out as a guitarist, I was like, whoa, I didn't realize this much went into it. Like,
yeah, very mind opening.
Yeah, and like even every bad experience is still a learning experience, and it makes you better.
So, what is something that you would like to experiment with in music?
Ooh, okay. So I'm planning soon. Okay, so as you may have seen, I love pushing the envelope when it comes to stage performance. And Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, my first musical love. So he uses the cello bow on the guitar in some songs, and I have adapted that into my live show, where I took a cello bow and I actually stuck LEDs on it so it glows red. And now that LED technology has been advancing, I'm curious about upgrading my little cello bow and adding some new kinds of lights on there, maybe that can like change colors. The key is it's got to be battery powered so I can like use it. So I'm excited to try and upgrade that. And I also have a theremin, which I've been really excited to try out, that crazy science instrument. I'm really excited to try out that thing with my sister, because like there's two controls, like you can do the pitch and you can do the loudness. And so we're going to try and see if like one of us can each do one of the things and do some cool twin stuff.
Ooh, oh, that sounds so difficult.
I know, it's going to be so fun. And I recently got this fly rig that I've been really wanting, the one modeled after Paul Landers from Rammstein. And it's really cool. I actually got it for Christmas. I haven't even opened
happy
it
new
yet.
rig.
I'm very excited. It's this big, and it has everything you could possibly need in it that I love anyway. Reverb, delay, heavy overdrive, a boost, a clean channel, a tuner, compressor, everything. So
oh, that's great.
Experiment with that.
And it looks so portable.
Exactly, and it can go directly into the board, so I don't even need an amp. It's crazy. So I'm excited to try that out and see where that goes. And as always, with any new sound that I find, it encourages my writing brain as well. Makes me think of new ideas and riffs and stuff. So that's an exciting prospect.
That's awesome. Yeah, so is that going to be your new go-to gear then to use on stage?
That's my goal. Yes, I'm going to test it out. And if it's everything that I hope that it is, I'm hoping to transition that to on stage to really simplify my layout and just really focus on the performance aspect, because that's my favorite part.
Yes, it sounds like you're really going in that direction with the LEDs and everything. And
Yes.
I think that's also my full round shows. And actually, speaking of which, somebody who does full round shows with, to experience everything, not just the music aspect of it, is Rammstein. So have they
Yes.
had an impact on that for you and your outlook on stage and performance?
Yes, actually 100%. So my whole performing life, I've been obsessed with the stage show. That's part of why I was drawn to Led Zeppelin and other like great bands like The Who, and they're just explosive on stage. So that's always been like an internal love of mine and a high importance of my whole thing. And so very recently, we've gotten into Rammstein as adults, and we went to go see their show when they came through Massachusetts. We bought the tickets before the pandemic and it kept moving and moving. It was actually, I think the show was about 1 week after my vocal operation. And I
Oh.
was like, should we go? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I'll just like text on my phone if I need to say anything because I wasn't supposed to talk really. But
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let's go. And my life changed at that show. Like it changed. I mean, the stuff they were doing on stage, I was like, okay, so if we're like 50% as dramatic as Rammstein, will be massively dramatic. Like they reminded me and showed me in a new light that like you can go all the way out, all the way. I mean, there was huge fire. There were giant like mechanical structures on fire. It was insanity. I loved it. And my sister and I were both like, okay, we are in love with Rammstein and we have been listening to them nonstop ever since and coming up with more ideas. And honestly, their super riff based writing has
Yes.
floated into our writing as well. And so you can expect a big Rammstein influence in our upcoming music.
Oh, that's interesting to hear. Do you have a release date for your new music, or do you know if you're doing an album or EP or single?
Yes, so actually this is the first time saying of this out loud. Woo! So we are going to be putting out a new single with a music video on March 3rd, 2023 for a song called Buried You in the Snow, and I'm very excited for it.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Thank you.
It's so soon. It's coming
I
up so
know,
soon.
it's really coming. Yeah, there's definitely some Rammstein influence in this new song, and it's interesting because I originally wrote this song on the acoustic guitar and I played it in my sister and my side project, Venom and Mayhem. We do like acoustic duo stuff. Um, and I wrote it originally there and we've performed it acoustically. And my sister kept saying, we got to bring this to Stormstress. We got to bring this to Stormstress. It has so much potential. And I'm like, okay, sure. Let's try it. And I reworked the song and I was liking it, but something was missing. And then after the Rammstein show, we sat down and rewrote the song musically with that in mind. And it changed everything. Like we dropped it down to the 7-string guitar, drop A, like we brought the heaviness in this song, and I'm very excited to show the world like it's not like a new direction, but I'd like to think it's a maturing and growth of our sound, which hopefully other people will agree.
Yes, it sounds like your sound is ever evolving, and that's very exciting.
Yes.
I am really looking forward to that song.
It's amazing. It's like when you write your first album, you're like, oh, how can we ever beat this? And then you're like, oh yeah, we're already beating it. And you gotta just keep upping the ante. And if you're doing it right, you'll just keep getting better ideas and keep improving, and you can't possibly go wrong.
That makes me so happy. It's you're just so full of energy.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Thank
Like you
you.
might be a night owl, but you're awake now and you're full of energy.
So true.
So it's very very exciting stuff coming up. And I have just one last question, which is because we touched on your inspirations and your music loves. So who are some of your most inspirational guitarists, whether that be within a band or just standalone? Some of them.
Page from Led Zeppelin is my number one. He will always rule my heart. So Neil Schon from Journey is another huge influence of mine. I just like his solo playing really inspired me. Like, he soars and he sings, and his guitar solos are very melodic and shreddy, which I really love. Like, I try and incorporate both of those aspects into my solo writing when I can, like lyrical, beautiful singing, soaring melodies, and shreddy moments, to like have a little bit of everything in there and just serve the song. So let's see what other, oh, I love so many guitarists. Gojira back here, these guys are insane. I love them so much. All of them are insanity. And yeah, I mean, I'm really inspired by, now that I've become a singer as well, I've been like more inspired by bands as a whole, like Ghost and Hailstorm and you know, bands like that. They just, I feel like they're the whole picture, you know. They're like they've got a great performance, great songs, great skill. It's all really good. I'm also huge into Alex Lifeson of Rush. He's amazing. And Steve Vai.
Spectacular. Yeah, that's such a solid list, and very interesting that yeah, you are actually combining a guitar and the music overall.
It's funny how it's been changing in that way, but it's nice. It's nice to have like the whole picture kind of thing.
Is there something we should be looking out for? Your single is coming out on March the 3rd. Where is it dropping?
So it's going to be dropping everywhere. Spotify, YouTube, you'll find the music video there. You can find us on Instagram at Stormstress Band. I'm sure we'll post a reel of the video there. And on Facebook as well. You can find us everywhere at Stormstress Band, and on you know, our website, stormstressband.com, etc. The video is going to be all over the place, and I'm super excited to put it out. We also have a Patreon where we have a lot of behind the scenes stuff from the single production going on right now. So you can find that patreon.com/stormstress. And yeah, we got a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on right now with the new single from the video, and clips of the mastered track that we just got, and stuff like that. So it's going to be all over the place. I'm personally really excited for this one. I feel like we really upped the ante with this, so I'm stoked, and I hope the world agrees.
That's very exciting. Thank you so much for being our guitarist of the month. This was great, and also yeah, this was a great experience to meet you and talk to you about all sorts of music and guitar stuff, and get an insight into your behind the scenes and what's happening with Stormstress and you as well.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, I've looked you up. You are an amazing guitarist, and you are so cool, and you know so many things, and you're so good, and it's really awesome. Thank you for
thank you. You're very kind.
So glad to know you. See ya.
Bye bye.